Welcome to the Mark Jackson Show. I'm Mark Jackson. We're on the Come and Talk to Me network. This is my dynamic co-host, my guy Blue. We have a very special guest today, but first let's pay some bills, Blue.
Of course, Pops, I got you. It's a big day. I'm excited. Shout out to Underdog Fantasy. Go ahead and click the link in the description and use the promo code MARK. They're matching a first-time deposit of up to $250. We appreciate y'all. And also, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, show us some love because we reading and we watching. We appreciate y'all. All right, Pops.
Next guest, LA's finest via Phoenix, McDonald's All-American, an NCAA Finals appearance, an Olympic medalist, and an outstanding analyst on ESPN calling NBA games, a former player of mine, a guy I got tremendous respect for, 17 years in the NBA, the great Richard Jefferson.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That type of intro, we're going to have to cut this. That might be my alarm from here on out. That might be my alarm. That might be what I wake up to, like just an intro of like open my eyes. Ladies and gentlemen, Richard Jefferson, and just get my...
How are you doing, man?
I'm blessed, man. You know, today's a good day to have a good day, so I'm good. You know, we're in this crazy industry watching USA basketball, watching all of the Olympics. Actually, I grew up a big Olympics guy. So I got a 7 and 9 little boys. So this is the first time that they can kind of sit and watch. It's like, son, let me introduce you to handball.
Talking about USA basketball in the Olympics, is it true that you actually painted your bronze medal that you won as an Olympian? You painted it?
No, let me say this. There have been rumors. There were thoughts. I can confirm nor deny what color my actual medal is. I did win a bronze, and I know we were speaking a little bit earlier, and it's like I'm quite proud of my bronze, not because of like obviously the basketball community shuns us, but the rest of the world being an Olympic medalist is kind of cool. So I just tell other people. I don't tell like the basketball community that.
Look, Richard, it's okay. It's a small group of people that have medals, so it's all right. My pops, low key, he might be hating a little bit, so it's all right. Just take it with a grain of salt.
Might be. Your pops is one of the most diabolical haters of all time. One of the most. People don't know this, right? They know the buttoned up, like hardworking coach, like outstanding, analyst. I know him as a hater. I know him as a diabolical hater since day one. People don't know this. Like when Mark first started, he was working for the Yes Network. I was a player for the Nets. So we used to play cards, and it would be J Kidd, Mark, and I'm sitting here like playing cards with my idols. Rod Thorne, he wasn't an idol, but he was there. Rod Thorne, he was there. But we used to all hang up on Rod Thorne to try and take all of his money, and then he would just kind of cuss all of us out. That was my introduction to actually like getting to spend some time, a lot of long plane flights and playing cards. Probably some of the most fun I had with the Nets.
Guy with a great sense of humor, as sarcastic as anybody I ever met in my life, and crosses the line with his humor on a daily basis. But let me ask you a serious question about the Olympics. This show is going to air in a couple of weeks when we already will know who wins the gold medal. I like your prediction, but first and foremost, just yesterday or the other day, Jayson Tatum got a DNP in the Olympics. Put yourself in that same situation. How do you respond? How do you react to it if you're Jayson Tatum?
I feel like you guys don't see this as like a diabolical question. I do, because in my brain, I probably should have been on an Olympic team getting some DMPs. I should have been. That was the issue. I didn't get any DMPs. No, if I'm Jayson Tatum, but he wasn't the only one, was he? Tyrese Halliburton, did he play?
Yeah, he got a DMP as well.
Right.
So again, and that's the most confusing thing about the USA basketball is that we want them to let go of all of their egos and be a team, but then we constantly are pushing, well, what's this going to do to your ego? What's this going to do to your psyche? You're an NBA champion and you're not getting to play. And it's like, well, Isn't that what this was about? Isn't this about like giving up of ourselves? Coaches trying to figure out the rotations. If I'm the odd man out, like that's that's the psyche thing that becomes so hard with USA basketball. But when you're talking about the individual, how he should be pissed. He should be pissed. Not pissed like at it, but just like wanting. And I saw the Germany game. He played okay. And look, you can't play everybody. KD's coming in. It's one of those things where it's like, and then you see KD go for 22 in the first half. So it's like, those are Jayson Tatum's minutes. And so I think it's hard to field a competitive team if you're trying to go equal playing time and give all of the superstars 15, 18 minutes because I don't want to piss somebody off. Somebody's got to not play and somebody's got to do 25 minutes because I need you in a rhythm when we're playing against Germany, Serbia, Canada. Like I need you guys locked in, and then we have our backup unit.
Go ahead, Pops. You got one?
Yeah, that's a cute answer. But give me the 26-year-old Jayson Tatum, his answer to it, because he's not going to receive it the same way you just so eloquently described.
Jayson Tatum, I think one thing we know about he's a level-headed guy. He's a level-headed, calm guy. So I think he's competitive. I think he's going to try and get in. The minute they give him an opportunity, he's going to be in ultra aggressive mode, which, again, is that what USA basketball needs? No. But I guess because I've been through it and I've seen – I was my first year in like the Copa Americas. We had to qualify because USA played terrible in Indiana. So I had to qualify. I was supposed to be the young guy that did not play. It was supposed to be like, Richard, you're invited. I was like a select player. Now they have a select team. I was the select player. So it was like me and Nick Collison. He was coming out of college. So they have us as the select players. And they're like, you're not going to play, but we want you there to practice and to do all this stuff. So it's T-Mac, it's Vince Carter, it's Jason Kidd, it's Mike Bibby, it's Ray Allen. All of these guys are on the team. And then we're those 2-3 guys that are not expected to play. Fast forward to the Olympics, 9 of those guys say no, and then they put together a young D Wade, a young LeBron, along this. So it's like there is a space where we can't field 12, 13 all superstars and play them equal playing time. Jayson Tatum was the odd man out last game. There's probably going to be somebody else that's going to be the odd man out next game. That's just the reality of the situation. It sucks that it was Jayson Tatum, but it was also Tyrese Halliburton, one of the young best guards in the world. Right? He didn't play. This man is helming his team. He's the best player on his team, without a doubt, in my opinion, the most important. And he moves the ball. He picks up the pace. He's sitting on that bench too. So it's not just Jayson Tatum.
We've all been in that situation as players where we look at a coach and say, man, I should be in the game, or I wish he would do something different. This is the perfect circumstance because you've played for my father. So I want to know what experiences you've had as a player for him. Just share some stories, please.
Mark knows this. I'm not gonna fluff it. I'm gonna be honest. He knows this because I had that relationship with him before I knew him. Right when I was coming from San Antonio, I wasn't healthy. So I came to San Antonio. My back was really, really bad, and him and I had very open. Like that first year, I got there during the lockout. The next year, I come in. So. We had open, honest conversations of like, hey, Rich, I'm going to give you an opportunity, whatever. So I play. I actually like hurt my calf, like maybe 10, 15 games in, and not in the rotation again. I was really banged up. And before I was about to come back, and the guys were playing well, it was maybe 10, 12 games in, guys were playing well. And he was like, hey, Rich, I'm going to go with the young guys. I'm like, Coach, like, on a personal level, I support you. I know you're a first-time head coach. The boys are rolling. I just want to support them. I had Harrison, I had Klay, I had Kent Bazemore, so many young dudes. And I just was like, hey, I'm just going to be your guys' vet. Like that's my thing. I ain't here. I got another year on my contract. I'll figure that out. Just let me be your vet. And Coach, it was just the thing I appreciated most was the communication that you had with me. And even I'll give you another one. I was really banged up. Like I thought I was going to have to retire after that season. And coach would come to me and be like, during garbage time, he'd come to me and be like, Rich, you want to go? And I was like, Coach, listen, it's got to be more than 3 minutes or my body ain't going. It ain't going. Like now I was like could. And I also told him, I was like, Coach, like if Steph has like one of those nights and you just want me to go in so he can get that standing ovation, I'll do that 100% of the time, because players had to do that for me when I was in my prime. But like if you talking about like 90 seconds, like Coach, I might hurt myself if I go out there, because I was in a really bad spot. So the fact that we had these open lines of communication, and watching him with those young guys and really build them in, hold them accountable. Like I remember you called out HB, you called out Harrison, because you basically gave Harrison the starting spot, even though at the time he probably wasn't better than I think Brandon Rush. Like he wasn't better, but you were just like, hey, this is your spot. And then you called him out on it. You're like, you over here complaining about stuff, you doing this stuff, and I gave you this spot because I believe in you, even before you were ready on it. And Harrison, it clicked for him. He was like, you know what? He's probably, because he could see Harrison's not a dumb player. He could see. He was like, you did kind of give me the spot and let me build into it. And that, just watching you navigate all of those young guys and build their confidence up, I really enjoyed being like the vet to support that. I really enjoyed it.
Well, one thing I can say, piggybacking that, the dynasty of the Golden State Warriors as we know it today does not happen if you did not have guys like Richard Jefferson, Jermaine O'Neal, Jarrett Jack, Carl Landry, veterans that instilled principles and a way to go about handling your business on a not just game-to-game basis, but a day-to-day basis. It was valuable experience. And I can remember after practices, Richard Jefferson having Harrison Barnes, Kent Bazemore, Klay Thompson, all of those guys. If I'm forgetting anybody, forgive me. But one-on-one, and would absolutely cook them every single day. Just destroy them every single day.
I was cheating. I would cheat every day. That's where Kent Bazemore would get so mad, is that I would cheat every day. But one of the things, and this is why when I see young teams and I don't see veterans on them, I will forever just feel like they're the coaches and the organization is doing a disservice. I was out of the rotation, rightfully so. We had the young guys that were playing well. That was the first year that Steph broke the record. And I recognize I'm out of rotation. So I'm just like, hey, I'm just going to train. I'm going to work out with these guys. I'm going to talk some shit, whatever. Kent Bazemore is an undrafted player. And I'm like, you're with me every day. Every day. This is our game. Every day we would play spots, and then Harrison would come over, and then different guys would come over. But with me and Kent Bazemore. But every single day, that was our game, because we weren't playing. He was over there cheering and doing all, and I'm over here, the grumpy old man. But 2 years later, he gets an opportunity to play, and you could see Kent Bazemore. I love you, Kent. He should not have had an 8-9 year career making $80-90 million like he did. I think he signed one of those big deals. And it's like, but because he put in that work every single day, to watch these guys, same with Harrison, same with Klay, all of those guys. But all of that core, that started, under your watch, and you being, if I didn't mess with you the way I did, if I didn't respect you the way I did, I wouldn't have put in so much work to support you and those young guys. Because it ain't always that way for vets. Like coaches will mess with vets, and vets is like, why am I going to come over here and help you? But the level of respect, it was a lot of fun.
So, Richard, we've obviously seen the dynasty that the Warriors have become. But being there in those early years, were you able to recognize the potential of guys like Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green? Or was there something special about that environment or combination of players?
It was weird, because it was really such a puzzle piece. Like, no, did I think that Steph was going to be a 2-time MVP? No. Did I think that not that you always foresee these things, right? If people knew Michael Jordan was going to be Michael Jordan, he wouldn't have been the number 3 pick, right? It's like you can't foresee greatness. You can know that they're great and they're special, but I think watching them year over year, I wasn't surprised. Right. So you watch him that first year when I came in, Klay didn't have any idea what he was doing. He was just shooting. And then Steph, but then that first year, and then, obviously David Lee and those teams, you win that first round matchup. And then I think Draymond Draymond was really such a unique piece that brought it all together. No one knew Draymond would turn into a future first ballot Hall of Famer. But I think he fit what they were doing, and his skill set and his brain type and the way he played, that fit. But Mark was the first one to realize that Steph's not a point. People get mad when I say this, but Steph's not a point guard. Steph needs to be off the ball. He needs to be moving. That's when he's his most creative. So I remember it was Jarrett Jack. You had Jarrett Jack handle the ball, and then you had Steph and Klay running pin downs. And it was like Steph was off the ball, and that's when he broke the record. Because not only could he handle it and go get his three-point shot, but he's so much more dangerous when he's causing havoc off the ball. So, like, that's when I first saw, I was like, oh, if this dude's off the ball, and then Klay, I'm like, I don't know what defenders are going to do. So to watch year over year for them to build on that, that's when it became, then the Golden State Warriors started adding more guys that can handle it, because they didn't have that first year. Adding Livingston, adding Iguodala, adding guys that was like, oh, now we have wing defenders with Steph off the ball. So just year over year, they just kept adding the puzzle pieces till it got to a spot where it was like, there was nothing you could do.
I'm proud of those guys, not only on the court, but off the court. Touch on, because you was there, the growth of, I watched Klay Thompson do interviews, and I sat and interviewed him, and I'm like, he's as great an interviewer as there is in the league. But they don't know the Klay that we knew when he first came in. Talk about that.
They wouldn't talk to nobody. But this is the thing, because Klay is amazing, you never took it personal. Klay's just he was at the time, especially his first couple of years, super quiet. But if you talk to Klay, but Klay can walk in there, not say a word, and walk out and just be in his own world. If you talk Klay, like, Klay, man, what's up? Oh, what's up, guys? Hey, you see the boxing match yesterday? And so that's Klay. But I'll tell you one thing, and this is, again, like the level of respect that I have for you, Coach. Like, it was start of maybe early in the season. Or maybe it was early in the season, the second year after I was traded. So we did training camp, so it was second in the season. And Klay would practice would start at 10 o'clock. And Klay would we would come in for film. So practice would start at 10, but a lot of times we would start in at film. Klay would come in at 9:55, grab his food and sit in there. And so I was like, Coach, we got to do something about Klay. The kid's too talented. Not that he doesn't work, but I don't think some of the prior people had established the type of work ethic that was needed in the organization, because they were changing. They were historically not a good organization, from a competitive standpoint. And I was like, Coach, you got to maybe close breakfast 30 minutes before. Close breakfast 30 minutes before practice. So close it at 9:30 and be like, you got to eat, you got to have your stuff. Because then all of a sudden guys start getting in there at 9:15, right? And now it's after I eat, okay, shoot, I might as well go shoot, right? Stuff. But it was that was those things that Klay was just such a free spirit that he was practice starts at 10. Okay, food. Okay, well, we're going to start in here anyway. So I could just pick up my food at 9:50, sit in here. And while we're watching film, it's no, Klay, that's not how a professional, Klay, you could be a first ballot Hall of Famer. You get in here, you work for 45 minutes before you eat your breakfast. Those were the things that you instilled that started to build those habits. And once the habits became consistent, their performance became consistent. That was the thing, like I said, to play against those guys 2 years later in the NBA Finals. It was because you wanted to hate them, and the Cavs hated the Warriors. I show back up. I'm like, hey, look, they're all pretty nice kids, man. It worked really hard, but it was just, you have to trick your brain into hating everything about them.
Okay, you set this up for me too easy, Richard. I have to ask you. I was holding this question in my back pocket, but you were there. Which is the bigger play, Kyrie Irving shot or LeBron James block?
No, it's the sum. It's the sum of them. Both defensively. Can we name a bigger defensive play in NBA history?
I personally don't think so.
A big defensive play.
I don't think so, especially when you're talking about the moment.
The moment. That's what we're talking about. The moment. How many defensive plays? Havlicek steals it. There's the Larry Bird steal and toss back. That's up there in the Garden, where I think he throws it back to Dennis Johnson. He makes the layup. Like there's like 3 or 4 defensive plays that like won a series and stuff like that. So I would say, in my opinion, like it's up there. And the fact that he did it in the last minute of the last game, he did this athletic blur and makes this crazy play. A split second later, and it's goaltending. And now they got a 2-point lead, and it's a battle uphill. Conversely, on the Kyrie thing, it's like, bro, I was on the court. And they get the switch. And I'm thinking like he's going to break Steph down and go and do what he does. This dude tees it up. And I'm like, oh, he's going to shoot a 3. 3. Right? Like Kyrie's greatness makes that a good shot. Like Steph is in that class. There's like 3, like Dame Lillard makes that a good shot. But there's only like 6 people on the planet where that's an actual good shot given the moment. And Kyrie was one of them, nails it. And now, which is even better, because like, oh, shoot, we're done. We're up 3 now. Let's go. Let's go. Up 3 against the Warriors is like being up 2 against everybody else.
Well, you got inserted into that game, I think 16 or so seconds prior to that shot.
Yeah.
The veteran, Richard Jefferson, are you nervous in that situation? Or are you thinking, get me the rock? I want to get a clean look.
No. They cleared me out. And like, you know what? There were some people that were critical of the statement. And it's like, look, man, self-awareness, like if it gets in your hands, like you're in that, if the ball gets in your hand, you believe you're going to do the right thing. Where like, if my guy goes and double team Steph, I'm going to get the ball and I'm going to drive. Or if I got my feet, I'm going to let it fly. Like that's our mentality. But in that space, you also want to be put in the best position to succeed, right? I'm 36-year-old Richard Jefferson at that point. 26-year-old is like, give me the ball. If they do it, I'm going to go, you know what I'm saying? 36-year-old, I'm like, all right. So this is what happens. They clear me out. So I clear out to the other side. Bron clears me out. So I clear out. I'm on the far side. in the corner. So in my head, I'm like doing a whole like brain thing of like, okay, if he shoots the ball, Richard, go in, offensive rebound. If we don't get it right away, sprint back. So you're playing this out. And then that's when the thing goes, oh, he's shooting a 3. And then I just start watching. I start creeping in and I start watching like, yo, this dude's shooting a 3. Nails it. We get back on defense. But it was more of like, you're doing the reads. Okay, if they do double team, they're coming. But that's why they cleared me out. So Kyrie had a clear side. So Kyrie had a clear side, which gave him the space to go work. But, you know, we're all doing the checklist in our heads. If I come, who's where, what I'm going to do. But luckily Kyrie made it, so I didn't have to do that checklist. And I was a minimum player. Minimum players should not be taking shots in Game 7 of the NBA Finals.
So I can hear it clearly. The design play coming out the huddle was to force the switch and get Kyrie the ball?
Yes, that was it. And if you watch JR, he kind of like holds Steph just a little bit. And that was it. They wanted to get a smaller defender on Steph and we are on Kyrie, but we all know Kyrie. It don't matter who's the defender on him. But that would be the ideal defender. I actually thought he off the hook because he would have hit that same shot he hits against Klay. Like a little sidestep, fadeaway jumper. You can't defend it. Like you can't defend it that way. So that's why when he got Steph on him, I thought he was going to cook and go and get to his bag a little bit more because Steph, he could get and if he needed to raise up and pull up. So I thought like him shooting almost a fadeaway 3 against Steph, that's letting him off the hook a little bit, right? Unless you're Kyrie, then you got what you wanted.
Yeah.
Is that the series where you had the huge dunk?
No. That was, we played them Christmas Day. The next year was the first time they had Kevin Durant. And I got to dunk on Klay. Wait, can we have a second about Klay for a second? Last week, there's a park by my house here in Hermosa called Valley Park. It's just a local park, just, you know, cement courts, big grass field. I always take my kids to it. I take my kids and they go first and I'm walking up and I'm like, is that Klay? Klay Thompson is out there with a boombox and a beat up basketball in full sweat. And my kids are now old enough, and I'm like, is that Klay? Klay, what's up? And my boys were like, Daddy, that's Klay Thompson. And I'm like, yeah. They're like, what is he doing here? And I'm like, I don't know what you're look at what you was like. Oh, I just moved up the street. So I just wanted to come get some shots up. And he had a full. He saw two. He said, hey, y'all want to play 2-on-2? Just two random people, and that's like. Klay is all time. He was shooting hoops with my boys. My boys had such a crazy. Even for me, I was like, Klay, I got to get a picture. Like, you're not even supposed to. All right, will you take a picture with my kids, bro? It was all time. Klay was next level.
You bring up a great point because that was the key to that Warriors team that we were a part of. You roll a basketball out anywhere, anytime, it's on. Guys were playing, whereas we've seen teams, you roll a basketball out, they just sitting there chilling on the sideline. Those guys love to play and compete.
Yeah, the hoop part of Clay's a hooper. There's different guys that are just hoopers. Like, give me the ball. Like, there's certain guys that love the strategy. Like, I would say, like, Andre Iguodala, one of those guys that he loves the strategy of the game of basketball. He loves the chess game. So it's like, he old man, but watching him play basketball, you can see he's constantly playing that chess. Klay is a guy you just let go free. He just want to hoop. He don't know if they up 20, if they down 20, if they are going up. And that's where I think Klay struggled, because this was one of the first years where mentally he felt frustrated throughout the whole year, and it could see it as play. When he's calm and happy in Klay, he's just a different player.
Go ahead, Blue.
Who I'm sitting and just listening to you name the all-time great players that you've played with. If you could just give me your top 5 players that you've played with.
That's tough. By the way, your list is as impressive as any list of any player I've ever been around.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Look, this is what I would say. Look, looking back on it now, being a journeyman my last 5 years really added some names to that list. Because it's like I played with a young Jokic. Did I see Jokic being this? No, but I thought he was nice and he was special, right? It was like you're watching it. Did I think you? But no. But I saw how hard he worked from like that the year before, and everyone's talking about how in shape he was and the time that he was putting in. I'm not surprised that he continued to progress for like the way he had. I didn't know he was going to be a 3-time MVP. I didn't know that when I was playing there, but. I'm not surprised because he's a stud. I would say my top 5, I got to have J. Kidd. I got to have Tim Duncan. Got to have LeBron. Now that's where we start to get. I would still go. I would put Dirk in there, and I feel like I'm gonna. That's tough because we got Steph. We still got Steph. We still got Jokic.
Played with Kawhi also, didn't you?
Kawhi, but Kawhi wasn't Kawhi yet. Kawhi was still like, these other guys were all-stars. And everything. That's tough, man. I would say I'll go Steph over Jokic. I made the playoffs with Steph. Jokic wasn't quite Jokic yet. We lost in the last game of the season. We lost to Jimmy Butler in the Timberwolves 82nd game. So all Denver fans, before you start saying any nonsense, I picked Steph over Jokic because we made the postseason.
I'm not used to you explaining. I'm
standing up and making a statement. The job we do as analysts. You get a lot of energy and a lot of heat from people, and they hold grudges and they remember things. So it's all like, you said this. This is what. Oh God, shut up.
Especially in New York, because you're big in New York.
I'm big. You know what? I am big in New York. I'm glad that we've built such a great relationship, me and the New York sports fans. I really am. Like, no, but I guess, okay, I understand why they would be grumpy at me. I get it. But that being said, they were and they were not well run for about 20 years. Now, over that span, the Nets were really good. And one of the things that makes Knicks fans so mad is that they can never, ever say anything truly to me because we just beat them up for all of those years. So that's the thing. When I start throwing jabs at them, they get really sensitive. But I've also said, when you're good, I will give you the credit. I have given them nothing but flowers for the last 3 or 4 years, respectfully. Nothing but flowers because of the way they've done it, the people that they've done, the way they've been meticulous with the growth of their franchise. I have nothing but positive to say about the Knicks organization. Now the Knicks fans, I still have feelings about, but the Knicks organization, they've been outstanding.
You talk about your time with the Nets. I'm familiar with your career. I'm obviously familiar with my dad's career. And there is one player that dominated both of y'all. Shaquille O'Neal had 37 and 17 throughout the finals against my pops. And I know that he also dominated your Nets team. Can you just speak about how great of a player Shaq is? I'm sorry, I'm a big fan. I just want to hear somebody speak about his dominance.
Look, there's all these conversations about, because there's been like, we're in the space of different eras where you're like, who would win? Like you think about like the 2017 Warriors versus the '01 Lakers. And I was trying to tell Draymond that, yes, the pace and these things that you guys play with, that would be, but the Lakers, understandably, Shaq was a type of person that made you have to change the construction of your roster. You had to have 2 or 3 bigs just for foul trouble. Because if you had one big and he got into foul trouble and you didn't have someone else, Shaq got so many subpar bigs paid because you needed to have them on their roster. Right? That's how dominant he was. And they didn't, like, if they called a foul every time we actually fouled Shaq, he would have shot 25 free throws every single night. You had to club him, literally physically club him to stop him. You couldn't just wrap him up because he'd take you with him. Shaq was the most dominant player I've ever played against on any level I've ever seen. I'm physically dominant. He's the most physically dominant player that maybe since Wilt, and no one in between. That's my opinion.
No, he was unbelievable. We tried every type of coverage that you can imagine. It had no answer for him. He was that dominant.
Hey, wait! You want to hear a funny story from Nets, right? So I'm still a kid, and part of the reason why I love this job is because I just been such a big fan of basketball since I was a little kid. I'll tell you a funny story. So we're sitting there playing cards, and we were talking about different players. It was me, Rod Thorne, J Kidd, and maybe Jock Vaughn was there. So we were playing cards and talking about old Phoenix stuff. And I was like, yeah, I kind of grew up watching the Phoenix Suns, like, Kevin Johnson, Jeff Hornacek, Barkley. That was when I was like 13, 14. I was like, Tom Chambers before that. He was a stud. I was like, yo, you remember that Tom Chambers dunk, man? That dude was hit at the rim. Like, that was crazy. Like, I was like, I didn't know he had bounce like that when I was a kid. And then I just saw the thing in my head and I go,
yeah,
that was so huge. And then the look on his face was like, shut up. But in that moment, I'm having an out of body experience. I'm like reliving my childhood. And I remember, like, as a dunker, one of the greatest dunks I've ever seen. And I'm just casually talking about it. I was like, no, y'all remember that Tom Chambers stuff? Like, head at the rim. It was like, watch that video on VHS, like, over and over again, rewinding it. And it was just like, did I just remember who was I was like freaking out in the moment. I promise you, like, we were in tears because I was going on this random rant, and he just stared at me like, I'm just waiting for it. But we had so much fun, man. But I value that so much looking back because you know me, I don't shut up. All I want to do, but I want to talk hoops. And we would sit on those planes and Rod would tell us about Jerry West and about Kareem and about Oscar. You were telling me about MJ and telling me about like your finals and Reggie. Like I would just sit there really as like a 25-year-old and just like soak up all of that and be the happiest kid in the world.
You've seen the best and you see what LeBron is doing this late in his career. How surprising or how impressive is it to you?
It's impressive, as we all know. It's mind-blowing. It's surprising because you see like how hard you have to work, but it also shows how much smarter he really is than everybody else. Like he's a different level, and it's like we have to account into that for his greatness. I'm not going to get into is LeBron, is MJ, like I feel like there is no GOAT, and that's why the conversation dominates. There is no GOAT. There's a Mount Rushmore. That's the end of it, right? There is no GOAT. So we can do it. Who's better? But you have to account for LeBron and his longevity of greatness and consistency. It's like that has to go like, oh, well, he's just going to own all the records. You don't think Karl Malone wanted to own all the records? You know what I'm saying? You don't think Kobe wanted to own, like Kobe had nothing left. He gave everything he could to the game. If Kobe was still averaging like 25 at 48%, Kobe still, you know what I'm saying? Kobe would have continued playing. So I just like for LeBron to have done it for as long as he had, like, again, even if you don't want to say he's MJ, every day that man shows up and still puts out these type of performances in USA basketball, oh, he wants that gold medal. He wants it. He wants it. So, like, to watch him go out there and compete and to see everybody still in awe, like, he's that dude, man. It's him, MJ, Kareem, and then I would say Bill Russell for me on my Mount Rushmore.
It's a good Mount Rushmore. I like that. I like that.
Yeah, you can argue with your mama.
Why you got to bring my mom's into that?
It's just an in general. There's just your mother's an amazing woman. It's just an in general statement. It's not a direct.
Thanks, Rich.
It's like a general statement. You know what I'm saying?
I get it. Let me ask you. Being an LA kid, who's your favorite Laker of all time?
Okay, now again, I have to say this I think Magic Johnson, in my opinion, and again, you can just call me an old head, is the greatest Laker of all time. I think Magic is, right? That's it. He says Kobe is, so, you know, we defer to that. But I think Magic, the way he changed the game of basketball, that was my first memories of 7, 8 years old when I left LA. But it's like you remember the Showtime Lakers and everything was just about Magic and Kareem and Byron and Coop. Like they had such a loaded roster that they made basketball like America's sport. I would say even more than the Celtics. I think the Lakers and the Showtime brought like the entertainment that is NBA entertainment. I think that started, in my opinion, in my memory, with Showtime Lakers and what they were doing. So Magic coming out and doing 40 plus and winning, you know, game 6 of the NBA finals as a rookie, going to all of the things. And obviously his career was cut short, right? But it was just like, you look back on it, the dude went to, what did he go to? 8 NBA finals in 11 seasons, 12 seasons, and won 5 of them. Like, come on, bro. As in my opinion, as the best, like Kareem might have been the most important, especially though those like first like 2, but he was the best player in my opinion on those teams. Like he was he was the engine that made the team run. I think that is like Kobe only had 3 championships where he might have been the second best player in the world, but he was the second best player in the world to Shaq. That's why he's got those 3 finals MVPs.
Okay, I'm a Magic Johnson guy, but the greatest Laker of all time is Kobe Bryant.
I get it. I'm not disputing. I'm not arguing that. I'm saying my favorite Laker of all time is Magic Johnson.
Shout out to Underdog Fantasy. Go ahead and click the link in the description. Use the promo code MARK, that's Mark, for a match first-time deposit of up to $250. We appreciate y'all.
That's a wrap for this episode of the Mark Jackson Show. I'm Mark Jackson. That's the dynamic one, my guy Blue. So grateful to have Richard Jefferson, the great Richard Jefferson.
Thank you.
Continued blessings, man. Keep on impacting. Keep on being a difference maker. That's the RJG building at the University of Arizona. Shout out, man. Love and appreciate you.
Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you.